Me again. That's what time we're on. Right, these are my old pliers that my dad used to use, and he's passed away recently and I've inherited his tool. But look at that, it's got that sort of motion. Allows you to widen them. Never seen any pliers that do that before. Fascinating. But yeah, these are the ones I'm using, my old dad's tools. Right, I've adjusted this. Now the battery that I were using before, this one, was situated in there. And you see that's where it would have been situated. The new battery is going to be situated there, but now I've got this thing. If I put it that way, it might tip that way, and if I push it this side, it might tip this way. I've got to figure it out which is the nicest balance in place. But like I just said, that on and off switch is supposed to power it, so the power comes into there from them to that and powers that, but it doesn't, because when you switch it off, that on and off switch takes power from there via the old where's it gone, via that big connector. So that big connector connects to that one, electricity goes into there and then somehow comes back out of that into where servos are and provides electricity for that. Now for turbo people, could you let me know, is that going to damage my receiver? Because that's one of my original receivers that I bought for my helicopter some time ago. I don't know if that power in is going to somehow damage that, because that's the power in and that's a servo, so it's like having a servo power thing. This is the first speed control I've ever had, so I don't know, is that going to damage that, or are we good? So that's stuck in with double-sided sticky tape. That one's in with double-sided sticky tape. That's not needed at the moment, because the new one's going to come in and replace it. And the battery might end up being like that, or I might even put it in front, to be honest, because there's plenty of room down front down there for that battery pack to go into that little area. Yeah, so I'll put the battery pack into that area, position it out that way, and a bit of double-sided sticky tape. Then all I have to do is just plug that onto that one, and all them wires are free. Yeah, but if you look underneath, this is how far the rudder now turns compared to before. When it weren't doing a very good steering and it kept bumping into edge, it weren't turning right. But with this now, it goes pretty much like that. Some people have probably got a device that allows you to measure that, but I don't want to be that anal when it comes down to it. Some model builders are seriously crazy when it comes down to accuracy. I'm trying to keep this like really simple stuff. Remember, that weren't made with nothing more than that saw, simple saw like that from Wicks. That £1.50 piece of plywood, maybe two of them, and a tub of body filler and some grey primer. Some old receivers that's left over, some salvaged electric components, box of salvaged servos from second hand. I wanted it to be as cheap as we could afford it for everybody. Now a quick look at underneath again so that you can see what it looks like. That's the mechanism, like I showed you on the other video. Bit of paint on it, but it's sticking a little bit. But now put the lid on. The lid does fit down now, or it should fit down. There we go. Voila. And now we've got an aerial, a cool aerial. It goes up. Unfortunately, I can't remember that lad's name, but it says with his motorcycle, the colour of that one, you know, I swapped him, that I got from Spain, we're right over here at Matlock. Now this, you'd have been able to sell this at Matlock. Yeah. There's my minion. There's me minion driver and his steering wheel. And the steering wheel's made out of one of them little radio things that will click click. But that's basically what it is. It allows you to sail wherever you are, so long as there's not too much current. You know, if there's too much current, you get swept away. no ones are selling it, that speed control with that very, very powerful motor, which in essence is actually an electric motor for things like a Tamiya Sandscorcher or Rough Rider or what other one? Ford Ranger. See, Sand Rover had a smaller motor in, more on that sort of size. But when you like me, for instance, and you've had loads of tape decks, you'll have got these boxes from places like Aldi, but you can take them out. You know, you can take the motors out, do all sorts with them. You know, that's got a little cool little brass spindle on it, but you can solder things on the end of that. I don't know what I can use it for, but that might have also been able to be used for that. And if I'd have thought about it, that one might have been able to spin that down and fit it onto there. I did manage to get me other one of those, you know, polished it up and repaired it. Now it's nice and tight, but grub screw was missing, so I made a grub screw. But that would have worked, but then it had to be perfect. That nail's not perfect. That's why the rubber's going to boing about. It's going to do exactly what it does. But the nail that I made that fits inside of there isn't quite perfect. Whereas that other one, that other electric motor with that brass thing, that might have fitted into that better, mightn't it? And that end would have fitted on, and I would have had it like that. But that's what everybody else has. Everybody's got one of them. I don't want it to be like what everybody else has got. It wants to be like what we've done. You know, we've got lots of little motors here. Some look really cool because you can see all parts on the inside, and some are brushless ones as well, funnily enough. And to know the difference between a brushless motor and a motor that's got them in, or for instance that, did you ever notice that you could do that as well? You just do that. If you just get that and you spin it, then you can make it light up. So if I attach that to a fan, then that LED will be lit up. Wind power and things like that, or water power. I did that years ago, soldered that on, stuck that on. It only works in one direction, otherwise it don't work. Or I could have gone mad and I could have used this old scale electric one. And that would have looked awesome, wouldn't it? You'd have seen an awesome looking speed thing there. That would up to like 12 volt there. To have been zipping along at high speed. But I value that more than I do the boat. If the boat sinks, then I lose my awesome thing. So I'm doing it for a bit of fun, and I'd advise some of your other parents out there and your grandparents to have a go at doing it, but you're going to struggle against this technology. Because, like I said, our young'un's sat in there in his bedroom, and look at that, curtains are drawn, neighbours' curtains are drawn and all, and he sat in a darkened room. I can't do out apart from talk to him, then I get shouted at. Stuck on bloody PlayStation 5. It's like the enemy within, just rotting the brains all the time. I'd rather than be out here making something like another boat like that. We could have both been out there sailing around. That's why I bought 2 transmitters. So, good luck to you, anybody that's trying. You know, because don't give up on them. Keep on trying, or do a daily blog like this. You know, because I'm just doing a daily blog. But I don't see anybody else in this problem. I only see myself in this problem. Why am I the only one in this problem? I can't understand this. Why I'm the only one in this sort of problem? And there's supposed to be so many other people out of work. I can't see their daily blog on their YouTube account. You know what I mean? I see my mate Mark Metcalf, his son going to a football match. But let's face it, a season ticket costs a fortune. And not everybody's into football. You know what I mean? Not everybody's into football, or rugby, or cricket, or out like that. Yeah, it might be fantastic and healthy in that, but this is more technical sort of stuff. And I always like technical sort of stuff. But when it comes down to it, I don't want it being used for blowing people up. That's how fast it goes backwards. Mine bending out, it only goes back really slow. It's like trying to remember. In the olden days, I can barely remember out these days. But everybody else has been trying to backdate it into 1950s old telly, with telly all the time. But most of them actors are dead. Just so they can get voice. And then you squeak it down to that. Now watch what I'm talking about with this. Traditional on and off switch is what I'm talking about. So you turn your receiver off to the off position. Oh, it's making a sound, listen. Still making a sound. And it's still working with bloody servos. Then you have to reach in there and switch thing to off. And then it stops working. Definitely what the problems are. Now, just be careful with all these tools. This is what I was hoping to be able to teach my kid how to use. Unfortunately, we are failing miserably. So I'm recording this daily blog because the blog's actually quite useful for anybody interested in building a boat. Remember, they're just normal cable connectors, that one, and a standard bit of air pipe, standard flexible stuff from your fish companies. And I'd even been able to get myself 2 shafts. Just need another propeller, and I need to cut down the actual copper pipe, because the shaft that is left isn't actually long enough. So let's compare that one. Yes, I just needed to cut it down to about there. Then I had that much left. But the tap and dies let me down. I've got some pro tap and dies from the USA thing, and it has cut it correctly, but it hasn't cut it deep enough for them screws to fit on. Them nuts, sorry. Them nuts don't fit on. Fit on that side perfectly fine. When it comes to that side, the die is not deep enough to cut it. So this is why we've ended up with these on. And yes, I know there's them round things that you can put on with a group screwing, but if you ain't got none, that's your answer. Plus I've got loads of them in here. These are left over from my dad. My dad was electrical engineer, and he's got tons of them sort of connected in here. This is what I've inherited. So don't forget, different size ones, different size motors. Got little ones and you got big ones. But you still need to make the nail, file the nail down, or the screw, so that it fits inside of that, so you can clamp into it, because it needs to fit inside a pipe, and it'll fit up top of that one, and so forth and so on. And that, in essence, the pipe, you fill the pipe with grease, and you pop the end back on, because you've got an end on that end and an end on that hole. We're hole in it, and your shaft goes through the middle, and it stops the water coming onto inside a boat. Because if you get it bog standard, it'll have an end on and an end on, but don't come with no grease in. So you need to pop the end out, pop some grease in, like CV boot grease from your cars, or Vaseline, fill it with Vaseline, and in essence it stops the water making its way up and inside of there. And remember, in olden days, all they were using was simple pen, and you can still use a simple pen to do exactly the same job. The plastic pipe on the inside, and that's all that young lad's father did for him. And I remember seeing it thinking that was awesome, and eventually we got it, but it was too small. My dad cut a few holes in it to get servos in, but then it wouldn't float, it just sank, because we weighted a battery in the servo, and it was such a small boat, it just won't fit inside it. Well, this one's smaller than the big fiberglass one, and it's just right for electric sort of boats, ironically. So just right. But like I said, if you're not turning, slow down. Slow the front end. It's like driving cars. Slow down, bike brakes, front end slows down, then you put power on and it skids arse end around like Night Rider and it'll do a donut. And that's how to make it go round and around and around. But if you can get more turning power on it, then it's like a proper Hackney carriage. Because Hackney carriages on cars have got a better turning circle than a normal family saloon car, and so forth and so on. Lessons to be learned, but we're hoping I'd have been able to share it with my son. But at the moment, apparently, whatever game he's playing is more important than having a conversation with someone. So that's the generation for you, age 13-year-old. And I'm 54, nearly 55, and I'll be getting my private pension soon. And that is about 20 grand less than what it's supposed to be, or 22. Not good. Not good at all. Can't even afford to go to a dentist. That's how bad it is.